Hey folks, how's it going? Well, I've got about 190 kilometers to go, so I figured I'd do just a very quick video. If you noticed yesterday, Bobby Con and I were in a Proton X70. Well, I'm in a Proton X70 again today, and they've let me use it for this road trip. I was all prepared to drive my W126. The 126 absolutely loves long distance. It loves the open highway, no cars in front of you, just cruising at the legal speed limit. And when you drive it like that, the 126 is a brilliant car. It just saunters along. I mean, it's 36 years old, but it still just saunters along. And I was all prepared to drive the car heading down south today. But hey, since we had the X70 and nobody was using it today, everybody's got their own plans. They let me use it, so I'm using it down to Johor. The problem is now, I think this car is a speeding ticket waiting to happen. You see, with the 126 and the E30, you know exactly how fast you're doing because the NVH has suffered over the years, so you can actually feel like how fast you're going. But this thing, I didn't realize until I looked down and I was doing 140. And as everybody knows, that is not the legal highway speed limit. So hopefully there were no cameras looking at me just now. But decided to talk a little bit about my 4x4 day since I'm in a 4x4. Yes, this is the Proton X70 Executive All-Wheel Drive. This is the one rung below the Premium, which only has two-wheel drive, as you know. And well, back in the mid to late 90s, I got very heavy into the four-wheel drive scene, and I bought myself a Ford Courier. Now the Ford Courier, if you remember, was actually the first lifestyle pickup truck brought in then, or rather assembled then, by Amim Ford. Of course, that company no longer exists. It's Ford Malaysia now, SDAC, Sime Darby Auto Connection. But back then they had this idea that since their cars were not really selling in their respective markets, what they had the Laser and they had the Telstar, and those weren't moving at all. So they decided, okay, what can we do since our cars are not moving? Hey, let's start a whole new segment. And lo and behold, that is how the lifestyle pickup truck segment was born. Before that, pickup trucks were all just for construction sites, for plantations, commercial use, absolutely commercial use. So Ford was the first car company to actually suddenly make lifestyle pickup trucks and make pickup trucks cool. It was suddenly cool to own a pickup truck, and they came up with one variant, special variant of the Courier in its life cycle, which didn't last very long at all, and it was called the Courier Splash. It was yellow, and bright yellow. And if you remember the TV series Baywatch, guys, I'm sure you remember the TV series Baywatch. It was actually used. A variant of that truck was actually used by the lifeguards of Baywatch, who all ran in slow motion. I don't know how they did it, but they all ran in slow motion. But anyway, that was a very cool pickup truck, but it was, unfortunately, a 2.5 litre 4-cylinder naturally aspirated diesel. Now, if you've ever driven a naturally aspirated diesel, there are a few. Proton even actually had a 2-litre naturally aspirated diesel Wira. It was white, and there's still a few running around. If you check out Muda, you might still actually be able to find one or two. And
police reported ahead.
Oh, thank you, Waze. But there was also a Citroen. There was a Citroen Santa diesel, 2-litre diesel, which was turbocharged, but had the most amazing turbo lag I have ever felt in any car. You slam your foot on the accelerator, and then you can count 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, exactly like that. So it was diesels in cars and trucks a long time ago, about 20 years, yeah, maybe even more than 20 years ago, were horrible. They were still very much industrial diesel engines, industrial use, and they were slow, they were lethargic, they were noisy, they were Superman. And another, hey, stay away from me, guys. So yeah, what was I saying? They were lethargic, they were, smoky, very smoky, black smoke, would abound if you didn't keep it properly. And it was all in the tuning. You know, it's all in the tuning, because latter day diesel engines are actually cleaner. Believe it or not, they actually burn cleaner than petrol engines. So if this was a diesel, it would be great. Dr. Lee, diesel for X70. So anyway, I had this Ford Courier, which I absolutely loved. It was brilliant. It was slow as hell. I would never be able to see 140 in that car, even though the speedometer read till 180. I would never even be able to see 140. Maybe if I chucked it off a cliff, yeah. But it had a blistering top speed of 120 kilometers an hour, and 0 to 100 in about an hour, if you're lucky. But yeah, you know what? It was tough as nails though, and I loved that truck. I really did, because before that, I had a Suzuki Jimny. And okay, if you know the Suzuki Jimny, some of you will probably go like, yes, and you're right, rightly so. The Jimny is a brilliant little 4x4. I kid you not. This little thing, I never had to fit a winch or anything like that. I didn't have to do a body lift. I didn't have to change the suspension to Old Man Emu or whatever it was. All I needed were 4 mud terrain tires. And I kid you not, that thing could go anywhere. Seriously, anywhere. I remember I went on a few recce's with a very old and now defunct 4x4 organizer for the Lanun Darat 4x4 events. And we used to go on a lot of recce's. So we were like heading out of town almost every weekend, trying to find areas where we could go for 4x4 driving. And I remember very distinctly, my little Jimny never got stuck. It had a 4-wheel drive high and low transfer case and mud terrain tires, and it never got stuck. Now the other recce vehicles, trucks, Pajeros, Troopers, big 4x4s, they usually got stuck because we were going into areas that were uncharted. And so we didn't really know the terrain. And one of the rules of 4x4 is that you actually have to walk the terrain first. If you find that it's a little bit, not too sure, walk the terrain first. If you sink, your car's gonna sink. But we were gung-ho, we were men, and we decided to just go through. And sure enough, inevitably, during at least once or twice, their cars would get stuck. And these are seasoned 4x4 fellas, okay? And here I am, a freaking newbie in a little Suzuki Jimny, which looks like a Tomica toy car parked next to theirs. But it would just go. It would just go. It never got stuck, ever, not once. I don't think my Jimny ever got stuck. I don't remember my Jimny ever getting stuck, because the moment the hill got too steep, I just put it into four-wheel drive low, and it'll go. It'll just go. So back to the Courier, I also used the Courier off-road quite a lot. And this is when I actually participated in the Ford 4x4 London Darat club activities, which was really, really nice. I actually really missed those days, of the LD excursions. But I also, in the year 2000, for I don't know why, but maybe it's because I love road trips, I love to drive. And in a little while, I'll tell you why I'm driving down south here. And I decided to participate as a media in the Silverstone 4x4 Rally of Asia, the Millennium Run. And we drove from Dataran Merdeka all the way to Jinhong, China. No kidding, and back. On the way there, I was accompanied by a really nice Japanese guy, a media guy from Japan. And he didn't speak much English, so we kind of communicated with sign language. And he didn't drive. He couldn't drive. He didn't have an international driver's license, nor did he have any experience really in driving 4x4. So he was a passenger with me the entire time, and it was great to have the company. But on the way back, he flew back to Japan from China. So it was a one-way trip for him by road, and then he took a flight back to Japan. So from China back home, I was alone in my Ford Courier. And back then, ladies and gentlemen, no Waze, which I just thanked, no Google Maps, no GPS. We drove to China using road books. I had a stack of road books. I think there were 7 road books that were in total this thick in my Courier. And after we finish one roadbook, we'll check it, take the next roadbook. Okay, where we're gonna go next? And because this guy, for the life of me, I can't remember his name. I think it was Hiroshi or Hiromi or something like that. He couldn't read English. The road books were in English. So he would just hold the page and point. Chris-san! Oh, we missed it. Okay, so again, turn back. He was one of those who gives directions like, turn here! God. Okay, so anyway, the trip took 22 days in total. I remember it was 10 days getting there because it was a timed rally getting there. I wasn't a participant. I was actually a media and covering the event. So, and because I was using my own truck, they paid for my diesel, they paid for my accommodation. So it was just a 22-day road trip. And I don't know if any of you, I know some of you have, but if you've never been on the road for 22 days straight, I mean, of course, we didn't sleep on the road. We had hotels at our destinations. You really don't know what it's like, because it is an amazing experience that everybody should actually experience just once, you know. And of course, take turns driving. Yeah, don't be an idiot like me and drive all the way back from China alone. So we went through the whole of Peninsular Malaysia, which unfortunately was this highway, but going that way. And that was probably the most boring part, because after we crossed the border and got into Thailand, the roads were amazing. We didn't use the highways all the time. We actually had to go off into the B roads and off into some off-road sections where the participants, I think there were like 30 of them, in competition 4x4s would do timed rallies. So this was a 4x4 rally, not using cars, but using 4x4 trucks, 4x4 SUVs, really, really hardcore stuff, okay? And so yeah, that's why it took so long to get there. Why it took even longer to get back, because since I was alone, I figured I'm gonna take my time. And anyway, so we drove through Thailand, into Myanmar, then into China, and it was incredible. So we stayed, I think it was 2 nights in China, because everybody needed to relax, and then it was every man for himself, like Evo Enduro, you know. Once we get to where we're going and we're all done and dusted, everybody's got their certs and had a good dinner and everything, the next day is either you leave on the next day, or you know, you can stay a couple more days and chill. Entirely up to you. So going back was free and easy. And wouldn't you just know it, the road books that I was talking about only had directions of how to go there. So to go back, I had to take the last book and basically backtrack. Okay, it wasn't so bad. I kind of remembered where I was, and once I got to Thailand, I was okay. But going down through China and Myanmar, that was a bit horrible. The Myanmar stretch, though, is something that's burned into my memory for forever. It was 147.5 kilometers, just 147.5 or 0.5 kilometers, but it took us 12 hours to get through. Can you imagine 12 hours just to do 147 kilometers, because the average speed was between 3 and 5 kilometers per hour. It was totally off-road. That was the only stretch where there was zero asphalt. And I'm not talking about laterite roads, okay? Kind of roads that you get through plantations and stuff like that. No, I'm talking about real off-road, like medium core off-road stuff. Not in place that you need a winch, but still rocks, mud, gullies. Oh, it was crazy. It was absolutely mad. And that was the most exhausting part, and the most exhausted I've ever been on any drive. Just 147 kilometers, and it damn near killed me. 12 hours. But you know what? I would love to do it again.
Hazard
honestly,
reported ahead.
Thank you, Waze. I would absolutely... Type R. Oh, no, it's not. Too many of them out there. Regular Civics looking like Type Rs. Anyway, so chilled out a couple of days there, and then we decided to drive back. When I say we, I mean 3 of us, me, myself, and I, and my truck. But just the fact that I'm actually making this video now, obviously I didn't get lost, I didn't get kidnapped, I didn't get killed, but it was one heck of a drive driving back. And I remember crossing the border into Thailand, and then deciding to stop at Hua Hin. I got there on I think if I remember correctly, it was a Friday night, and I decided to spend one night there, and then I was going to drive back on Saturday to Hat Yai, spend the night in Hat Yai, then Sunday drive back to KL. Well, if you've ever been to Hua Hin, And if you participated in Evo Enduro 2017, you will know what I'm talking about when I say it's one beautiful place to be at. So, instead of staying just one night, I ended up staying 2 nights. And then, on Sunday, I decided to drive back from Hua Hin all the way to KL in one go. Now, that might not seem so bad these days because of nicer cars, higher top speeds. But remember, I was driving a Courier with a top speed of 120 at best. I'm talking about if it's a slope, yeah? If it's a flat road, it's going to be about 110. So, you know what? I couldn't even break the speed limit even if I wanted to. So, Sunday, set out early in the morning and drove back all the way to KL in one day in a Ford Courier 4x4 with leaf spring suspension at the back. I got home at about, if I'm not mistaken, it was about 8 p.m. and the worst thing happened. All the way I was tired, so I kept knocking back these
Hazard reported ahead.
Energy drinks that you can buy in Thailand. Okay, small bottle is about that big, about that thick, and it's just like that. But it's concentrated Red Bull or Levita or whatever it is, and energy drink. Sweet, keeps you alert. Small bottle, yeah. It's only like 20 baht, which is like 2 ringgit. So I was knocking these things back on the way back. And I must have had about 6 of them or 7 of them at least. Later I found out the fine print in Thai, which of course I cannot read, is do not consume more than 3 bottles a day. Well, needless to say, I was buzzing when I got home. Reached my front gate, I'm wide awake, unpacked, did everything, and I was still wide awake at about 10 o'clock. I decided to wash my truck. 11 o'clock, I'm still awake. I couldn't fall asleep. I was not tired at all. Those drinks had kept me buzzing the whole day and night. And I was like, okay, what am I going to do now? So midnight comes around, I'm still wide awake, I'm sitting in my bed, I'm looking around. 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m. I'm like, okay, I read a book. No, it didn't make me tired. I watched a movie. No, it didn't make me tired either. Couldn't sleep at all. Monday morning, 6 a.m., I'm still awake. Well, 5 a.m., I'm still awake. I decided, screw it. Working day, yeah? Working day. So I decided to shower, change, blah, 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 and go to work. I was early, and everybody was impressed because they knew I'd just gotten back the next day. And they thought for sure I was going to MC the Monday. But no, there I was, bright and early at work. By about 2 p.m., I started seeing things. The effects of those energy drinks. The bottle has got 2 eagles on it with their talons out and everything, and that should have been a warning sign to me, even though I couldn't read Thai. That should have been a warning sign. You see eagles on the bottle with their talons out and their eyes staring at you like this. You know, maybe you shouldn't mess around with that drink too much. But I had like 6 or 7. So by 2 p.m. the effects have worn off. Monday afternoon, and I was like, guys, I think I'm going to take a half day. Because I started seeing double of everything. So I got back in my car, in my truck. I went back home, took a shower, and this is no bullshit. I fell asleep at 4 p.m. and I didn't wake up till 6 p.m. the next day. I did not wake up, and still that's the longest I've ever slept in one stretch. Okay, I did not wake up till 6 p.m. Tuesday evening. Completely missed. Okay, that time no smartphones, so no whatever, no beeps, no nothing, no email pings or whatever. It was just a regular Ericsson. I think it was a Sony Ericsson or just an Ericsson. It could have even been my Nokia 3110. But turned it off, knocked out, didn't wake up until 6 p.m. the next day. That's the longest I've ever slept in one stretch for my whole life, 14 plus hours. I woke up and I was like, oh, it's still daylight. I thought it was Monday evening. No, it was Tuesday evening. So that was it. That was my one, the longest I've ever driven. KL, China, KL, and it was thoroughly enjoyable. So the reason why I'm driving here now on this beautiful day is, well, you're just gonna have to stay tuned and find out. I'll give you a clue. It has to do with my new used car segment. Now, please don't get me wrong. I'm not only going to be doing used cars from now on. Yeah, I'm still doing cars, new cars and bikes and launches and stuff like that. This is just a supplementary thing because it's something I feel very strongly about. You know, there are a lot of used cars out there that still have a lot of life in them that are not being given the recognition that they deserve. And this one that I'm going to go see, so I've kind of let the cat out of the bag, is something that I've been thinking about for the longest time because a very good friend of mine, Al Bakri, used to have one, and lo and behold, there's one here, and it looks very, very promising. So stay tuned, and I'm gonna let you see it soon. Okay, so in the meantime, I'm gonna enjoy this beautiful day. Maybe I'll stop at the R&R and just chill. I mean, I love driving, so there's no reason. I mean, look at the day today. Oh, check that out. How cool is that? Is this a beautiful day, or is this a beautiful day? Perfect day for driving. Just cruising along, legal speed limits, got the X70 on cruise control, and just lovely. So you all have a good day, folks, and I'll see you all soon. Take care. Bye-bye.